Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It's another very special interview today. I'm also joined by one of my colleagues from a podcast that we collaborate quite a bit with. They've just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube from the Ringside Renaissance podcast. It is pretty deadly, Jesse. Jesse, how are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Ready to get this on.
Indeed, and thanks you for joining us, Jesse, as well. But less of us, more about our guest. Now, our guest, for those of you that are good on the channel, you will remember nearly 2 years ago now, we had this man on. He was our first guest from the States, or the first big guest we had from the States. And I'm just going to remember the intro. The last bit of the introduction I said to this man back in the day was, in a wrestling world full of clowns and evil dentists, this man injected some attitude into wrestling and gave us the best era of wrestling still to this day. It's the one, the only, the incomparable. Welcome back, Mr. Vince Russo.
What is going on, Adam and Jesse? Very nice to be here again, bro, and see you guys.
It is great to have you back, Vince. Now, just so everyone knows, we did say this is going to be a random question for Vince Day. And as I've said all along, and I did mention to Vince before we come on the show here, we will not be saying anything about stuff that's happened with Jim Cornette that is gone beyond the ring, legal and everything like that. It's not what we do on this show. If you want to watch those sort of videos, they are available on YouTube. It just will not be happening on here. It is straight wrestling talk. With that in mind, Jesse, I'm going to throw the field over to you. You go and ask Vince your first question.
All right. First of all, it's an honor. I grew up during the Attitude Era, and this is just a big honor for me and my colleague that's not able to join us and stuff. And I just want to say thank you for your time. Um, Now, I read that you joined the WWF as like a freelance writer for WWF Magazine and then evolved into your role into creative and that sort of process. And I just was wondering what was like kind of like the journey of that, like going from being a freelance writer to working your way up through the ladder to actually being like the head of creative during one of the hottest times in pro wrestling history.
Yeah, Jesse, everything happened like, I'm a Christian man and I'm a firm believer in my faith. And I know, like God is in control of everything because what happened to me at WWE, it was never my plan. It was never my plan. I mean, when I first got the job as a freelance writer, I needed a job. I had two video stores on Long Island when video stores were just mom and pop and Blockbuster was just starting to move in. Bro, if it were up to me, I would have been working at those video stores to this day. I mean, I loved it. I loved owning my own business. I loved that business. But, the writing was on the wall, so I had to find a job. Um, at that time, I was sponsoring, my store was sponsoring a wrestling radio show. So, like, there was an opportunity there to maybe get in the wrestling business. But, like I said, man, first and foremost, I needed a job. So I was freelance and I was getting 150 bucks a story. And then the editor of the magazine was fired. So I interviewed for that job and I got that job. And that's how I got into Titan Tower. And even as a writer of the WWE magazine and the editor, I was 1000% happy with that. I mean, I remember, when they hired me, I was making 60 grand a year. I thought that was all the money in the world. And I had no desire, dream, thinking. I was not thinking about writing for television at all. I did not have that was not my plan. Everything just started to organically happen. And at that time, just like I am now, I was working there and I was very outspoken about the product. I thought the product was bad, just like I think it's bad now. And I was very outspoken about it. And, they were losing more and more and more viewers on a weekly basis. And I think it finally came down to, Vince McMahon, put your money where your mouth is. And I did. And, we started working together very closely, and the rest is really history.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And obviously, that moment in time was great for all of us because that's when it really wrestling just hit it. And as you said, it's never hit the same. since, that's for sure. My first question is more to do with the present, and I don't know how much of TNA that you see, but we are on this. We have a good relationship with TNA. We're media over here for TNA, so we get a lot of their roster on. Been following them for quite some time, even the bad times and up to where they are now. I think right now, or last couple of years, they've been going in a trajectory quietly, going back up. They went really low, obviously, and they've started to hit up. And the partnership with WWE is seemingly working for both parties. But what do you think they need to do? Is it a big TV deal that they need? What do you think they need to sort of get it back to take it to the next level, so to speak?
Well, I think Adam, I think it would depend on what you would consider the next level, because here's what happened, bro. Man, I remember, back around WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
This was the catchphrase, the World Wrestling Federation, what the world is watching. And
Yeah.
bro, that was true. The world was watching. Bro, the wrestling industry has whittled down the world to a niche audience. And they did that. No, nobody else did that. They did that. So, Adam, in answer to your question, I don't know if there's anything they can do, because I think the business has become a niche business. And I don't know if it's too late to once again grow to the heights that it was once at. I kind of feel like in a lot of ways, the world has just passed the wrestling business by. And yeah, man, it does have its niche audience, and X amount of people will watch it every week. I just don't ever see it going back in the mainstream. And you would think, especially with the Saturday Night Main Event going on NBC. Well, that's a great opportunity. But when I tune into NBC and I see Sami Zayn and R.D. McDonough and all these other people, is that going to make me a wrestling fan again? I mean, we don't have the Macho Mans and the Jake Roberts and the Roddy Pipers we don't have those people anymore. A lot of wrestlers today are simply that, wrestlers. And I don't think that is going to recapture the world. I just don't.
No, interesting. Jesse?
Yeah, so I'm a watcher of your podcast, The Brand, and I enjoy it very much. I haven't paid the 99 cents yet. I'm going to, don't worry, I heard about it. But so but I see like old talents like Al Snow comes on, and Al Snow's like, I back in the Attitude Era, like everybody wants head and stuff, it's just I was too young to kind of understand at that time, but I get it now. But so seeing that and seeing some of the talents you work with today and stuff like that, what were some talents that you most enjoyed working with or writing for or being creative for, during your whole stint as the being on creative? And on the flip side, maybe some of your least favorites, some of the ones that were hard to work with or hard to deal with or hard to come up with a character for.
My favorite ones were definitely the creative ones, where you could really open up the envelope. And like three that come to mind immediately, obviously, is like a Goldust or like a Val Venus or like a DX. I mean, we did so much stuff with DX that was so outside of the box, so that really, those three really enabled me to be creative and open it up. Taker, my God, the whole Taker Kane story, Paul Bearer, because you had real characters. You had real characters, so you could really open up now. Bro, I'll be honest, the people who were always difficult for me to work with were the people that took it way too seriously, bro. The people that were borderline convinced that wrestling was real, that kind of bought into their own hype. Those were the people that were really, really the hardest to work with, because, bro, this is a work. This is a television show. This is not real. And when you had some people that were just buying into it like it was, those were probably the hardest people to work with.
Yeah, definitely. So just to touch back on next, we're going to talk ratings now. I mean, back in the action, I know it was like you would literally do it by a quarter or by segment to see what was gaining or garnering the audience's attention. And if it was Sable in a t-shirt throw out at 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. and that was hitting 3 million, it would be on week after week after week. How important is it even a thing now? So we know we talk about AEW and their ratings and they can barely draw a number. Is it that important now, or is it more important to the people that are buying, like the broadcasters, than it is now to say Triple H and Tony Khan?
Yes, I don't understand exactly what are you asking me, Adam. Just say
How
that again.
how important is our ratings is important now as they were in the Attitude Era?
I think they are, because first of all, like, the WWE will always throw out the social media numbers.
Yeah,
Bro, how are those numbers verified?
yeah,
We know about bots. We know you can buy subscribers. We know you can buy viewers. It happens all the time. How are those numbers verified? I mean, I had Glenn, Disco on my show the other day, and he was pointing out, I said to him that when Jey Uso won the Intercontinental title, only 1.5 million people were watching on Raw. So Glenn turns around and says, "Oh yeah, but 42 million people watch the clip on social media." Bro, does that make any sense to anybody? You're really gonna tell me that 42 million people watched it on YouTube, but only 1.5 million? Those numbers don't make any sense to me. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the social media numbers carry the weight that the WWE tries to make you believe they do. The numbers are documented. Like, those are real numbers. Nobody can make up those numbers. They are measuring those numbers in a way where they could prove those numbers. So, yes, I do believe those numbers are still important. And those are the only numbers the network cares about. The network could care less about their social media and their TikTok and their Instagram and all that crap. They care about the show because that's what they're selling their advertising on.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Go on, Jess.
Yeah, so we're talking about characters, and you talked about Gold Dust, and then you talked about just now Disco Inferno being on your show and stuff. Now, when you created some of these characters or some of these storylines, gimmicks, whatever you want to call it, is there any that when you created it, you saw like some of yourself, and not to say you'd walk around with like flashy disco pants or like a gold onesie or anything like that. If you did, you don't have to tell us. But like, is there any of these characters that you developed that like you closely said, oh, this is Vince Russo on a grand scale, like up to 100?
Just really my character on WCW,
Right.
because my thing was, bro, you got to understand, man, I have dealt my whole entire life with people hating people from the Northeast. I've dealt with it my entire life, bro. I've dealt with it before wrestling, and I dealt with it times a million in the wrestling business. That is at the core. I know Adam brought it up. That is at the core of my issue with Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette hates people from the Northeast, period. Hates them. Add to that my accent, my confidence, my swagger. That's the root of the problem. So when I was creating my Vince Russo character, my whole thing was, okay, bro, you want to hate New Yorkers? You want to believe New Yorkers are a certain way? I'm really going to make you hate New Yorkers. So, through my character, that was definitely an extension of who I was.
Brilliant.
I'm an upstate New Yorker, so I'm with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
I don't have the accent, but I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So, Vince, is there anyone today that you watch on telly that you'd think, if I could just work with that particular character, I could take it further than what they are now?
Well, it definitely would have been Bray, without a
Yeah,
shadow of a doubt. It definitely would have been Bray. But it's again, there are a lot of characters I like. God, I wish I was working with the Wyatt Six, because
yeah.
they don't have a clue what to do with them.
What would you
They
do with them, Vince, out of interest? What would you do with someone like that?
Bro, they should have had their own universe. They should have never married it to the show. They should have all lived in a house. We didn't know where the house was. And if you wanted to confront them, you had to go to them. They should have had their own alternate universe, bro. That's what it should have been. Because the way they did it, the writing was on the wall that, bro, they're just going to become other wrestlers on the roster. Yeah, bro, you're going to have these guys are going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
They're just going to be other wrestlers on the roster unless you kept them totally separate from the show. So, I mean, to this day, I would love to be working with that group. I'd love to be working with guys like, I mean, I love Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be working with him. So yeah, I mean, there are some people that I would really enjoy working with. I never got to work with Cena, bro. I would have loved to work with John Cena. So yeah, man, there are definitely some people I wish I could have worked with.
Just to touch on the White Six, because Jesse, we were talking off air, and you were saying that it's kind of that mystique value of them. Kind of they buried Chad Gable and the American Made anyway, and then they've now just once again disappeared off the face of the earth again. Waiting, I personally think Judgment Day. We kind of agreed that Judgment Day are next, but you are right there, Vince, because they are now just roster members, aren't they? There's nothing special about the Wyatt Six now that perhaps there was when these QR codes kept popping up.
Bro, when they did that first thing, that was awesome. Remember, we thought they killed everybody in the back. I mean, that caught my attention. But I knew, bro, like I just knew they're not gonna know where to go with this, man. And here, bro, when you got wrestlers running the company, when you got Triple H running the company, and it's always gonna go back to wrestling because that's what they know. It's always going to go back to wrestling. And like I said, man, those guys have just become other wrestlers on the card.
Yeah, definitely. So go on. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I have a bunch of thoughts on Wyatt Six. I'll leave that one alone though. But so you just mentioned Drew McIntyre, and my co-host on my show, Andy Combat Jones, shout out to him. He is like the biggest CM Punk fan in the world, and we have both kind of agreed that this whole CM Punk Drew feud since CM Punk returned in WWE has been the best thing on wrestling television. It's been compelling. They built a storyline around a bracelet. CM Punk was injured, and it still just added tension and heat the whole time. That's kind of our current favorite storyline, and where we are kind of, that's like where we're in our pocket when we watch pro wrestling, because it reminds us of Attitude Era type style. Now I just want to know your thoughts on the feud, how you think it went, and what are some of your current favorite storylines in wrestling today.
Well, I'll tell you, bro, like there's a couple of things I don't like about it. But, bro, first of all, you got to understand something with me, and I'll be the first one to admit this. I got a very short attention span. I really do, bro. When something starts going way too long, you've lost me. And that's not wrestling. That's across the board, bro. Across the board. I mean, bro, I will put on a video on YouTube because I'll see it's only 3 minutes long, and after a minute, it loses me. So I have a very short attention span. I think it's gone out. I think it's gone on too long, bro. I've seen too many promos of them saying the same exact thing. I've seen it, bro. Okay, I get it. I understand it. And then, bro, I don't like, and I never thought I'd see this, bro. There's so much CM Punk kowtowing and catering to the fan base. I hate that, bro. That's not straight edge. That's no edge at all. I mean, that's kissing the ass of the marks, bro. And to me, if somebody else wants to do that, that's fine. I don't like CM Punk doing that. That is just my opinion, bro. I got to be honest with you, Jesse, and I'm not just saying that. There isn't one feud that I'm interested in. Nothing. I watch these shows because Sportskeeda pays me very, very well to critique these shows. If I was not getting paid to watch these shows, I would not be watching these shows. There is nothing There is no story on either program that I am the least bit interested in, not one.
It's quite interesting. Just talk about Punk a minute because you did make a great point there, Vince. I felt as if and I like Punk, and I'm a big Punk fan and whatever, but I feel as if something's missing with him right now, and it may well be what you're just saying there, the sort of appeasing everybody and not.
Well, I think that's what's missing, Adam. I think he's being a good boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Based on the history and everything that happened, I think, and then going to AEW and what happened, I think now he is being such a good boy. No problems, no issues, and I think that's the CM Punk that we've seen, but that's been coming across on camera, bro. I mean, and that's the part where I think, and again, bro, this is just my opinion, but I think that's the part where he's losing a little bit of his edge.
yeah. I just think even sometimes these promos as well, there's not enough of those sort of quote unquote pipe bombs or that little bit of, it will drop a line and everyone will be like,
Yeah,
oh shit.
I mean, bro, here's a perfect example, which I can't like. Bro, they're talking about the Hell in a Cell, the Hell in a Cell, the cage, the cage, the cage. If I'm Drew McIntyre, what I'm talking about is, bro, what happened the last couple of times you were locked in a cage with somebody? Bro, it was UFC and you got your ass handed to you. Like that's where I would be going.
Yeah.
Because now what's Punk going to say? And if you really started needling him with that reality, that may bring some fire out of him. But like, I remember when the Hell in the Cell was introduced, and like that was, and Punk was putting the cage over. Like that was the first thing that came to my mind. Like,
Yeah.
bro, the last time you were locked in cage with people, you got your ass kicked at UFC, like, all of a sudden. So, like, I honestly thought, okay, bro, well, that's where McIntyre's going to go. But no mention of that whatsoever. How do you not mention that, bro?
Yeah, it does. Even some of those fundamentals, we call it simple fundamentals, but
Yes.
even just
Yep.
doing that
Yeah.
creates. There's always that line between fiction and reality, and
Yes.
I was talking about this the other day with a colleague. Was doing the top 10 like storylines that happened, and we're saying the best ones are where you've got that. There is that break between the fiction of the wrestling, but the reality of life, and when you
Correct.
cross that line, everything just takes a whole new meaning.
Yep.
And that's where that particular feud has lacked big time. When it could have been brilliant, it could have
Yeah.
been fantastic because McIntyre's probably doing his best work as a
Yes.
wrestler this like over the last 12, 18 months. But this type of feud where you've got someone like Punk, you're not utilizing both of their characters properly at
Yeah.
all.
And then, bro, McIntyre could have brought those fighters in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right about it, bro, because the most appealing thing is when you blur those lines. And I was always constantly looking for that. But if McIntyre brought those fighters in, and hey, bro, how was it being in a cage with CM Punk? And they're laughing about it, and they're telling like, but I don't know, bro. And it's like you said, bro, this ain't rocket science stuff. This is very simple fundamentals, man.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
I'm going to change the subject. Oh, so Jesse, if you want to follow on, go on.
Well, I was just saying they started to blur the lines, like Vince was talking about when Drew got the picture with Jack Perry backstage and like was posting it, or all this different stuff. So that was started adding, and I thought that's what was going to bring out the CM Punk of old. Like, okay, you want to play with fire? Here we go. And I agree. It just seems like a slow burn. I think we're going to get back to that Punk, but I think he's kind of going through this phase of, oh, look, I can be a good boy, to try to blur the lines, as you said, with like how his reputation backstage at AEW. Oh, look how good I can be here, before he gets into that. Oh yeah, you want to play? Let's play.
But you got to be careful, bro, because in the meantime, he's hurting his brand. And to me, that should be the most important thing. It would be like if tomorrow I started working for the WWE and then I just started putting everything over. Forget about Russo's brand is absolutely dead, and that's why like I wouldn't do that, but I mean, I could understand, bro. And obviously there's a lot of money involved, and I get it, but I'm just not seeing that edge.
Would it be worth WWE sort of maybe playing on what had happened in AEW and maybe putting something out there that there's something had happened between Punk and somebody? Not it didn't, but again, we're talking those blurring those lines between reality and fiction, and using that and say there was I don't know, a backstage issue with Punk. He's been sent home, and he hasn't been, but it's just
Bro,
cogs
they
turning.
they they don't know how to do that because at the end of the day, Triple H is not a writer. They
No.
don't know how to do that. They're wrestlers, man, and that's why we're not seeing compelling characters and storylines. They're freaking wrestlers. They're not writers.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'm going to change and move off the subject of The Undertaker quickly. Obviously, the streak ended at WrestleMania 30. I didn't think it should have done. That's my opinion. Well, no, I didn't think it should have. I think it could have done. Didn't agree with maybe who and the reasons why. Would you have kept that streak intact, or would you have got someone eventually to, or should he have retired full stop at that point?
Yeah, what to me from what I understand, Taker wanted to do that with Lesnar.
Mm,
So I mean, to me, that's I would have respected his wishes. Like
yeah,
if that's something he really wanted to do, I would not have said no to him. I would have done what he really wanted to do. I think it would have been a lot better if he had retired for a little bit after that, and then they really, really, really built to a comeback or a rematch. I think that would have been huge. But again, just not being there and not knowing the circumstances, I don't know why they booked it the way they did. But if it was his wish to drop it to Lesnar, I would have respected that.
yeah. I don't know if it. I don't quite know. I think there was talk of on that day. Vince McMahon come up to him and said, "You're losing," and rather than I think it was always built that he was going to win up
Yeah.
until that day, and then a
Yeah.
change of direction.
Yeah. If I would have, if yeah, I would not have made that decision.
No, no, I don't know. I just don't think he should. Because I think after that, I don't know, Jesse, maybe I'll bring you in this. WrestleMania for me lost its mystique at that point. I'm not that massive fan of The Undertaker, but it was always one of those things every year, like who's Taker got? Who, and that was one of the things I was always looking at every year. Who's he got? Who's he got? Once he lost, I just felt that it didn't have the same. WrestleMania just didn't feel the same for me after that, Jesse. I don't know. Did it feel the same for you?
No, but to be devil's advocate for a minute is like, uh, you know, to continue he's 22-1 now, he's 23-1. At that point, it was kind of lost its point. But you and I were talking about with a lot of these matches that the ending, like
Hmm.
why watch the football game if you know who's going to win? So at the same time, I can kind of see where they were coming from with, okay, if we knew Undertaker was going to win every WrestleMania match, it would lose its mystique at that point too. It would
Yeah,
be
but look,
like,
look what they're. I hear you, Jesse. But look what they're doing now, bro.
oh yeah,
You know the finish of everything.
everything.
Like there is no point whatsoever to watch anything, bro. I mean, that's a big part of the issue, man. You know every single thing they're gonna do, and then when they do go against the grain, it doesn't make any sense. Braun Breaker losing to Jey Uso.
Yeah.
No doubt, bro. Braun did something backstage where that was a punishment because there's no way in their right minds, if they had a clue to anything they were doing, that they would have took that belt off of him unless that was a disciplinary action to put him in his place, because that made zero sense.
Yeah, I was literally that was actually one of my questions. That as much as don't get me wrong, I like Jey Uso major over with the crowd. You can see that shirt sales bang. I know that's important because it's making the company money, but I didn't get it because for me, Braun Breaker is what they. I don't know. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong with this, but the Intercontinental title to me, when I was growing up, was always that stepping ladder, testing the water. How are you going to be as a champion if we put the big strap on you, the main one, the world title? For me, Braun Breaker is, and I know he had a little backstage thing with Gunther there at one point, but for me, I honestly thought he was going to have a long run, and perhaps maybe they will bring it back on him shortly. I don't know. and then he was going to drop it, I don't know, at a certain time, and then he was a bit like Gunther, going to go straight for the gold. Because for me, he's got everything, and I agree, it made absolutely no sense for Jey Uso to win it, especially if he's moving on to what we are assuming going to be going back and joining Roman at some point to go
Yeah.
against the existing bloodline.
Bro, it
Yeah.
made no sense. It made no sense for freaking Sami Zayn to be Gunther. That
Yeah.
made zero sense. All that did was hurt Gunther.
Yeah.
Gunther could have forfeited the Intercontinental. It's happened a million times.
Yeah.
Forfeited the Intercontinental title because he wanted to go for the heavyweight gold. That's what you could have done, because Sammy beating Gunther did not make Sammy more believable, because not one person believed that he could beat Gunther. So
Mm.
what it did was it hurt Gunther. And
Yeah.
that's what I mean, man. They make decisions like that just don't make any sense, bro.
Yeah. No, it did.
And
Go on,
and
Jesse. Go on.
back in the day, like Gilbert was over with the WWF crowd. You weren't going to put the Intercontinental title on Gilbert. You know
Exactly.
what I
He
mean?
doesn't, and Jey Uso does not need the Intercontinental title. Obviously, clearly, he does not need it. So that's why, man, I'm always looking to give him the benefit of the doubt. And Breaker probably said something he shouldn't have said. He probably pissed somebody off. And okay, bro, we need to get this guy back in his place, because switching that title made no sense, bro.
Absolutely zero sense. Go on, Jesse.
Yeah. So I feel a lot of the problems, maybe creatively, or it portrays on the camera, is we hear back in like the Monday Night War days, Attitude Era, Nitro, the NWO, there was all this tension backstage. Everybody was fighting to be the best. Everybody was fighting for their spots. And now it just seems like it's a big, happy He-Man woman hate. Well, I guess I got women in there too, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like a big club now, and I was just wondering, because you were at backstage at both WWF and WCW up in their heights. Like, what were the feelings like backstage? Was it ultra competitive? And how do you feel like that is lacking today?
Well, yeah, bro. The big difference, and the reason why it's night and day, is because you got guaranteed contracts now. Back then, bro, they were still independent contractors. And bro, back then when I was working, bro, these guys were businessmen, and it was all about money. It was all about money. It wasn't about social media and five-star matches. It was all about money. And there were no guaranteed contracts. And that's why it was every man for himself, and very, very, very competitive. Once it becomes about guaranteed contracts, bro, that competitiveness is out the window. You're getting X amount of dollars, no matter if you're on the bottom of the card, the middle, or the top of the card. That really took the competitiveness away from it. And I think that really, really hurt the business in the long run.
Yeah, I think so. It definitely does. It definitely doesn't seem that way. So you had Rock, Austin, Triple H, Taker, and they all wanted that championship. They all wanted to run with the company. WCW obviously had Hogan, Hall, Nash, Goldberg, Sting. You had people there that really wanted to be the best, and not only did they want to be the best, they wanted WWF or WCW to be the best. So you had to you had to kind of work. And you're right, maybe the guaranteed contracts are like, well, I could earn 850 a year and be injured for three-quarters of it, or limited dates, which is another big thing now, isn't it? Limited date contracts where I only work 30 events a year, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Bro, it's the equivalent with, my biggest complaint, is the creative, because to me it looks like they're not trying. You're not trying. And why are they not trying, bro? Because the money's in the bank.
Yeah.
They've already gotten the money from Saudi. They've already gotten the money from Netflix. They've already gotten the Peacock money. They've already gotten the USA money. The money's in the bank. There's no reason for them to try. Whether they draw 1.5 million viewers or 10 million viewers, they're getting paid the same. So the problem isn't just with the boys, it's with the company as well. That's why they're very complacent. That's why there's always the feeling of like them just running in place. The money's in the bank. There's no incentive for them to try any harder. And that's what I see on television every single week.
Yeah, it's definitely the case. I want to get your thoughts on these two-night pay-per-views. WrestleMania went 2 nights a few years ago. I'm still getting used to it. Now we're seeing next year SummerSlam, and it's probably going to be the Royal Rumble next. For me, and I get from a roster sort of perspective, I get it, but for me, I just don't know. It doesn't work for me personally.
Because it doesn't work, bro. Because they watered down the card so badly to give you 2 nights. Adam, it's just greed. It's just greed. It's all about money. It's all what, bro. They listen. Make no bones about it. And now they're talking about SmackDown going through to 3 hours. Make no bones about it, bro. When they took that money for the third hour of Raw, they 1,000% bastardized their product. They watered down their product to get that extra hour of revenue. And since then, bro, the product has never been the same. My God, bro, if they could figure out a way for WrestleMania to go 3 days, it's going to go 3 days because, bro, it doesn't matter. It's all about the almighty dollar. And I understand that, bro. I understand it's business. But when business gets in the way of you hurting your product, to me, that's totally different. And they definitely hurt their product going to 3 hours.
Definitely so. Go on, Jesse.
Yeah. So again, I'm a big fan of the Attitude Era, so I got to ask a few questions about that.
Go.
And if you don't, if you just tell me I'm an asshole if you think so, but I gotta know you were around during the Montreal screw job. Now, is what was said about happening in the Montreal screw job, is this like 100% legit? Is there stuff people don't know about? Is there like kind of smoke and mirrors trying to, everybody wants to get along and make money, as you said now? Like, what was really going on there?
Yeah, bro. It was bro, I could tell you this. Probably the Wednesday before the Survivor Series. I was at Vince's house and he was having a conversation with Brett. And Vince said to me, Vince, I want you to be a witness on the phone. I want you to be the third party on the phone call, but Brett did not know I was on the phone call. Okay. Bro, I can tell you I was on the phone call. Vince McMahon pitched Brett so many ideas, so many ideas, so many alternatives, and it was no, 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 no. And what it really came down to is Brett did not want to drop the belt to Shawn Michaels. I mean, that's really what it came down to because of some of the things Shawn had said and done. That's really what it came down to. So after, so many ideas were pitched, the truth of the story is, bro, and you'll hear, Cornette, oh, it was my idea. Bro, I'm not claiming this as my idea because it's not something I'm proud of, and I wished it would have never happened. But my God, bro, we were at Vince's house all day. We started at about 9 in the morning. It had to be close to 9 o'clock at night. And we were trying to come up with a finish. Bro, all I wanted to do was go home. I just wanted to go home. So out of frustration, I just throw out to Vince, F it, bro. Have Shawn put him in the sharpshooter and have the referee call for the bell. Bro, I just wanted to go home. I wanted to go home. And the meeting ended on that note. And bro, the next couple of days, I had no contact with Vince whatsoever. It was almost like Vince was trying to kind of isolate me from this because he wanted to make sure that it looked like he was 100% responsible. He didn't want to pass along any of the heat. And that's why, bro, I did not know what they were going to do that night until I sat there and I saw it. And I was like, holy shit, that's kind of what I, threw out there. But no, bro. I mean, bro, listen, here's the only discrepancy. Vince did walk in that locker room to get punched in the face. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's Vince McMahon, bro. To him, that was the manly thing to do. Yes, did I screw Brett? Yes, I screwed Brett, but I screwed Brett because I had to screw Brett to protect my company. But yes, is one coming my way? Absolutely, 100%. And that's why he walked into that locker room. But bro, there's no smoke, there's no mirrors. I mean, that's exactly the way it went down.
This is going to sound a really stupid question, but why didn't Vince just turn around and say, I'm the boss. You're dropping that title on Sunday. Take it or leave. Kind of, deal with
Well,
it.
I mean, but he had to make him drop the title.
True. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he
Yeah.
still needed to make him. And bro, I'm telling you, at least a dozen different scenarios were thrown by Brett. At least a dozen, and he turned down every single one of them.
That's it. I want to talk about another McMahon, Shane. He's in the news recently, potentially going to AEW. Why would he do that? I don't,
He would only go to AEW. He would only go to AEW if he gets a share of AEW. He's not going to AEW to work for Tony Khan or be a general manager or be an on-air talent. The only reason he would be going there is to own a piece of the company. And now, bro, you got to look at the probability because now you're starting to hear that Warner Brother Discovery actually is, stakes a claim in AEW, which means they may own part of AEW. If they own a part of AEW, I could definitely see them wanting Shane McMahon to be a part of that ownership group. So I could definitely see that happening, but it would be under the guise of Shane owning a piece of that company, not going there as a freaking talent. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Would they want him there from the business perspective as well, in terms of helping get maybe more sponsors or bigger deals for the business outside of
Oh,
AEW?
absolutely. But he would not be going there as an employee. He
No,
definitely would not be going there as an employee. Absolutely, they would.
no, definitely. Jesse, over to you.
Yeah, so we're just talking about AEW, and you watch AEW and stuff, and I've been a AEW follower since day one, and I'm really not happy with the product right now. It's very stale, very predictable, as you said. What are some things that you think you'd be able to do creatively to help that product or help that business grow or that brand grow, as you say?
Well, bro, I'll be honest with you. Like Jesse, I watched AEW Dynamite for the first 15 months. And then it's funny, bro. My 60th birthday was coming up. And I was just like, bro, I'm 60 now. I can't waste another minute of my life watching this crap. Seriously, bro. Like I have not watched it since I'm going to be 64 in January. So I haven't watched it in 4 years. Bro, it's all what we talked about earlier, man. The backdrop of these wrestling companies should be reality. The reality of the wrestling business. That should be the freaking backdrop, bro. And oh my, and you talk about a golden opportunity with the CM Punk stuff. They had a golden. Do you guys know? Do you guys know? This is a fact. When the Montreal screw job went down, and we had our production meeting the next day. And after the production meeting, the only people left in that room were the inner circle. It was like me, JR, Bruce, Pat Patterson, Jerry Briscoe was in there. Kevin Dunn was in there. The inner circle. Bro, they wanted to sweep the entire incident under the rug like it never happened. And I sat there and I'm like, are you people nuts? This is history, bro. Nothing like this is ever going to happen again. And you got to understand, man, that's when Nitro was kicking our ass.
Mm.
I said, bro, we need to take advantage of this. And that's when Vince went down to the studio and cut the Brett Screwed Brett promo, and Mr. McMahon was born. The rest is history, bro. They had so many opportunities to play that realism, that worked realism, and they just choose not to. That's, to me, if I was running either company, that's what I would get back to. The reality of what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, I was literally said when this happened, when it happened with Punk initially at AEW, I said there's money in that.
Yeah.
And all they had to do was agree to work, be professional, and work together.
Yep.
And it could have that, they can't even they're struggling to hit 700,000 viewers now. But if they done that back then, they'd be hitting that million, 1 million, 2 week in, week out, because people would tune in to want to find out what happened. It's like Austin McMahon. People wanted to watch Raw because what is Austin going to do? What is McMahon going to do? Who are DX going to come out and parody this week?
But that's the problem, Adam. When you look at Triple H, when you look at Tony Khan, they're not writers.
Nope.
That's the problem. They're wrestling people. Paul Heyman is a they're wrestling people. So everything always goes back to wrestling. They're not television writers, bro. That's what you're missing.
Yeah, definitely. So final question for me, Vince, as we start to pack up. This one may be a long one, so hence why I've given it a bit of time. So it's a hypothetical scenario. You're in charge of a company, unlimited checkbook, right? You got to do a debut show. What city do you do it in? Who are your top 5 male and female talent? Who's your commentary, and who's the backstage producers and helping out?
Are you talking about just the WWE?
No, anyone, anything you want, anyone, any company.
Well, you definitely got to do the show in New York. I
Okay.
mean, I can't see doing it anywhere else, man. So I'm allowed to pick 5 talents.
Of what, 5 male, 5 female.
Bro, that's tough because I'm telling you, not a lot of people come to mind, man. I'm just being honest with
But
you.
just choose 5. Don't worry about 5 of each. Just 5.
I would definitely take Drew.
Yeah.
I would definitely take Charlotte. I would definitely take her. It's hard, bro, because I am not a fan of Seth. I am not a fan of Cody. Oh, I would definitely take Roman. No doubt I would take Roman. I don't know if The Rock counts, but you definitely got to take The Rock. I would definitely take The Rock. My God, bro, when I look up and down at those rosters, man, I would definitely take Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, he's brilliant. I mean, what we've seen him do is absolutely brilliant, and they're totally wasting him. Gable's a great heel.
Yeah.
Gable's a great heel. I love. Oh, bro, I think, and he trained here in Colorado. They, without a shadow of a doubt, have missed the boat on Otis. Oh my God, have they missed the boat? He could have been such a huge freaking baby face, bro. They missed the boat on him. Those are just names. Oh, well, whatchamacallit, bro. Far and away, Jade Cargill and
Bianca.
Oh, without a shadow, they're superstars, bro. They are absolute superstars. Oh, I like Priest.
Yeah.
I would love to work with Priest. I think Priest is a star. I think Rhea Ripley's a star.
Yeah.
But all these people that I'm mentioning, they are no way, no how using them to the best of their capability. I'm a fan of Gunther.
Yeah.
They're no way, no how using them to the best of their ability, bro.
And who's the commentary team?
I love Taz.
Yeah.
Nobody's as funny as Taz. The new guy is pretty good. What's his name?
On Raw.
Yeah.
Oh,
Joe Tessitore.
Yeah, he's not bad. Say him and Taz. How about him and Taz? Yeah.
And any sort of favoritism on producers or agents that work with him?
I mean, bro, well, bro, my agents would be people that made money in the business, not people that were good little hands and mid
Yeah.
carders. It would be guys that were top guys in the business. Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle would
Oh,
definitely be an agent. I mean, guys that were in the business who made money. Those would be my agents.
yeah. Go on in, Jesse. Round it up with you, and then we'll finish up.
Oh wow, I thought that was gonna be the last one.
No,
You
no,
got me
no,
on.
no. Go on.
I was gonna do a comedy one. Insane Clown Posse, should they be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Why not? I mean, compared to who else is in there, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about. I mean, bro, Pete Rose just passed away, bro.
Mhm.
If you're gonna put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, how you not putting the insane? But bro, there's so many people that should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't. That's why I think it's such a freaking joke. It's just it's a popularity contest. If you're gonna let the fans vote, that's one thing. But I mean, for decades and decades, it was, Vince voting on it. Now it's Triple H. I mean, that's why to me, that's just always been such a farce.
I know that you said you wouldn't accept it, Vince, but if the fans voted for it and they voted
Uh,
for you, would you do it?
no way.
No,
No,
you wouldn't do it.
no. Bro, I regret ever getting in the wrestling business. I really do. If I knew now if I knew then what I know now, I would have definitely not made a living in the wrestling business.
Interesting. And finally, then, Vince, as we've thrown up, what have you got coming up? Where can people watch your podcast? What have you got going on?
Yeah, I would say right now, bro, where I'm trying to send people. And first of all, I'm working on my third book. I'm about to send in my first draft.
Ooh.
It's called Total Nonstop Agony. And the book picks up when Hogan and Bischoff came into TNA. That's where it picks up, and it goes right through to where I am today. So I'm looking forward to that. I would say right now, guys, if you've never been a Patreon member, go to patreon.com/Russo TWC, and you can get a free week of the brand, man. You could test us out. You could hear all the shows. It costs you absolutely nothing. Go to patreon.com/Russo TWC.
Brilliant. There we go. And Jesse, for you, where can everyone follow the Ringside Renaissance and what have you guys got coming up?
Yeah, we're Ringside Renaissance on YouTube. It's RR Wrestling Pod, I believe, on X. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. We actually got some independent wrestlers from our area that actually want to come on and kind of air some beef and get their storyline
Oh,
moving forward. Hopefully, we can get that on. And yeah, just come connect with us, man. We love connecting with everybody. It's been a really great ride.
indeed.
Bro,
And you,
where'd you get that Jesse, where'd you get that Piper thing behind you? That's pretty cool, man. Where'd you get
My
that?
wife bought that for me. So when I first started this, I had a plain white background because I'm a plain person. And everybody's like, "Oh, you got to put something back there." My wife actually bought it and put it up. I came home from work and it was
That's
there.
awesome. That's really cool, man. That is
Yeah,
really, really cool. I like that a lot.
yeah, she's a saint. I'm telling you. I got Roddy Piper's final book that he wrote with his kids right here.
Oh,
He
that's
wrote it and
awesome.
he died halfway through it. I got JR's book. I got a autograph Bruno San Martino.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. That's Bruno right there with the white frame gimmick. Oh,
Yep,
wow.
yep.
Okay,
I
wow.
met him at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Amsterdam, New
Yeah.
York. He autographed that for me. Yeah.
Bro, how sad is it? What percentage of wrestling fans today do you think have no idea who Bruno Sammartino is, bro?
quite a lot.
Such a high percentage.
Man, though
I,
I go back to Bruno and oh my gosh, bro. That's what people don't like understand, bro. I always say, bro, I don't think the best era in wrestling was the Attitude Era. I don't. I think the best era in wrestling was the WrestleMania 1 to 3 years. I think that's where it really, really, and I say that all along. And then, just going back to Bruno's time, like, bro, people that I say that all the time, Adam, people that think today's wrestling is great, they didn't watch that wrestling back then.
No.
They have no idea. They have no idea what wrestling used to be because they've never seen it. If you're saying today's brand of wrestling is great, you never saw Bruno Sammartino's era ever.
No,
yeah.
definitely
Like
not. No.
I got a picture of my brother actually with Ivan Koloff wearing the chains and everything else
And
here. Yeah,
another guy who's not in the Hall of Fame. What a joke! Ivan Koloff not in the Hall of Fame. Come on, bro.
man.
That
Yeah, I
is
got a picture of me drunk in a bar with Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I got a bunch of stuff around here.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
unbelievable.
Those were, I mean, those were stars, bro. Those were stars.
They were indeed. Vince, will leave it there. You can follow us at HTT Buckle on Twitter and Instagram. Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on, no, actually follow us HTT Buckle on X and YouTube. Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Instagram. And we're going to be back with somebody, Vince, who you know very well next week. We're going to be back with, funnily enough, Eric Bischoff next
Oh
week.
boy.
Will be joining us for the third time. For the third time, we've had 2 other shows with him. But thank Vince, honestly, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to us. It's an absolute
No problem. It was a pleasure, man. Good luck with your shows. Anytime I could do anything for you, just let me know, man.
Thank you, Vince. I really appreciate it. We'll let you get back to your day now, Vince. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, take care,
Take care,
guys.
Vince. Bye-bye. And that's him gone, Jesse. We're still live, though. We're still on the show. But how was that for you, man? Your first interview, Vince Russo. How about that?
Great. It was a great time, man. It was a little bit interesting to hear his disdain for the business, as much as it is. But yeah, he's a great guy. He seemed very, very personable, and it was nice to kind of have the interaction and for him to be interested in stuff with us beyond like, okay, just ask the questions, I'm gone,
Yeah,
So
exactly
I
that.
enjoyed that.
Exactly. So, guys, as Jesse said on the show, make sure you follow Ringside Renaissance. They do some great stuff. They've got some Wyatt Six stuff going on as well. Go and see that. Go and check out all their review shows and Bad Blood, AEW, WWE, the lot. They've got all that coming up. Like I said, we're with Eric Bischoff next week. We're also with Psycho Boy Fodder next week as well, ex-NWA talent. Layla's coming on in a few weeks' time as well. So don't forget to check us out. Check Ringside Renaissance out. Check Hitting the Turnbuckle out. And be sure to check all of us out on our social medias. But until next time, everybody, he has been pretty deadly. Jesse, sorry I haven't got your music, but I can say, yeah, there you go.
That's right. It's trademarked. Yeah, we got it trademarked.
You got to trademark that. Yeah, I have been the Hitting the Turnbuckle frontman, Adam Cousins, and you were watching the legendary Vince Russo. But until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.